In this AlignMix how-to video, you will learn how to navigate the AlignMix software. So to start, let's imagine we're creating a brand new AlignMix file, and you do that by clicking on File, then on New Project, and from here, we can start to configure how our new file will look. You can select the country you want to work on, so if you've installed different geography packs, you can select them from here, and then select the base geography. For this example, we'll be using US at the 5-digit postcode level. So then we click on Next. And now we will answer a series of questions so the software can set up the correct terms that we want in our file. In this question, you have to select the option that best describes how you'll use AlignMix, or we're just going to use Sales Territory Analysis and Design. But if you're creating franchises, you would select the second option. So let's stick with the first option, click Next. This next question is asking, what's the best description of what you call a sales rep? So if you actually call your sales reps, you would leave it as a default setting. If they were called something else, you would select those other options and click on Next. Now, what do you call your first level of management? So your second level of assignment. So by default, we've got territories as the first level, and territories are then assigned to what? For this example, we will stick with district, which is our default setting. But if you had a second level called something else, you would select those options here. Clicking on Next, now we select what is our second line of management, so that third level of hierarchy. So territories are assigned to districts, and now districts are assigned to what? So we will select regions and click on Next. And what describes what a sales rep calls on? Who do they visit? Is it accounts, customers, or clients? So we will select accounts from here. Any of these settings that you select here in this new project expert, you can always customize later and change in the AlignMix options. So now let's click here on Next. And would you like to set this as default for future files? I'll just select No and click Finish. So the software has now reconfigured that new file based on your answers to those questions. So let me go ahead and minimize this file so that we can work on a file that I created earlier. In this file, we already have zip codes assigned to territories, districts, and regions, and we have accounts imported. So now let's look at our options. Click on File and then go down to Application Options. Here under View, you can customize the color of the land and the sea. You can also adjust the resolution. We also have the option to go into low resource mode. Now the low resource mode is very beneficial for those users that are using older, outdated, slower computers. So if you notice that the software is lagging when you're moving around on the screen, you can click on low resource mode and you'll see the performance of the software improve. But if you have a fairly modern computer, you would just leave that turned off. Now let's go ahead to geography. Here you will see the current details for the file that we are working on. And we know we are working on the US at the 5-digit level. Now let's click on Project. Here you can customize the terms that we have just selected in that new project expert. So our lowest level of hierarchy is a territory, and the plural form is territories. Our sales reps call on accounts. Our first level of management, which is our second level of hierarchy, is district. So if you decided to change what your second level is called, you would make sure to rename that here. But if you do rename that first level of management, make sure to also rename the manager, what their role is called. So for now, we have it as district manager, but if you change it to, let's say, area, you would then want this to say area manager. And then finally, we've got that final level of hierarchy, which in this case is region, and plural form is regions. And again, we have region manager and region managers. Finally, we've got the tools section, and here you can adjust the scroll wheel responsiveness. So as you zoom in with the scroll wheel on your mouse, so let's click here on OK. As I zoom in with it, you'll see it goes in by one zoom level. If you wanted to zoom in faster, you would change that in those options. So now it's time to cover some of these navigation tools that we have here in AlignMix. By default, you will typically be using the pan tool. The pan tool lets you click with the left button on your mouse and move around on your screen. So if we zoom into an area, you can click and drag that tool around without making accidental changes to your territories. So let's say we are using a different tool like the Touch Align tool, and this Touch Align tool is used to adjust your boundaries. And now, in order to pan around on the map, you can click and hold the space bar on your keyboard, and while holding that space bar, you will see my cursor has changed into the pan tool. And then when I let go of the spacebar, it will revert back to the tool that I was initially using. So now let's click here on the zoom all the way out button and learn how to use some of these other navigation tools. So here we've got a zoom in tool. When you click that, you will see you've got a little magnifying glass as a cursor. When you click that, it will zoom in one zoom level. You can also click and drag out a square or a rectangle, and when you let go, you will zoom in to that square that you've just created. The zoom out tool does just that. It will click and zoom you out. Then we've got the distance tool, which shows you the distance from point A to B, and it will show you in miles how far that distance is. We also have the recolor tool here, which you can click on a territory and then change all those colors. You can also hold R on your keyboard, and that will change any tool into the recolor tool. So I go back to our pan tool, hold R on the keyboard, you will see my cursor has changed, and now it will toggle through all of the colors in the color palette. In order to change your color palette, you can click here on the Map tab, and you can select different color palettes from this view, and we have a drop-down menu here that has even more color palettes to choose from. So I'll stick with the pastel colors and go back to our home menu. So now let's click here on our Layers tab, and here you can customize and choose which layers you would like displayed on your map at any time. If you didn't want to show your accounts, you would turn on and off the accounts from this button here. If you'd like to show some of your other boundaries, like district or region boundaries, you can turn that on here, and district boundaries will appear on your territory map view. If you wanted to toggle on and off your sales reps from view, you'd do that here. If you wanted to turn on and off your roads, you toggle that option here. Same goes for cities, static layers, world, and even labels. So that's how you would use all of those layer options. Let's zoom back into a city like Kansas City, and you will see that I've got this accounts color button. By default, your sales accounts when imported will match the account legend here in the top right. And remember, you will only have an account legend if you've imported a customer segmentation in that account import. So right now, those colors match the account legend. By clicking on the account colors button, you will see all those colors change to match the color of the territory that every sales account is assigned to. So that's just another way of displaying how your accounts appear on the map. So now let's zoom out a little bit, and now let's right click on a territory. And this will pull up the AlignMix radial tool. From here, you can delete the territory, zoom into the territory, right click again. You can find the smallest cluster or any satellite areas that are assigned to this territory. You can change the color like so, right click again. You can hide this territory from view. It's still there, it hasn't been deleted, it's just hidden from view. So let's bring it back. You can also put a lock on the territory. Putting a lock on a territory means you can't make changes to this territory. All those zip code and account assignments are set. So right click again to unlock it, and right clicking to bring up the radial tool, you can go to properties. Here in the sales territory property options, you will see the ID and the name of every territory. And this is also where you can change the ID and names for all your territories. You can click this drop-down menu to select a different sales rep to be assigned to this territory, or you can click the plus button and create a new sales rep assignment. The same applies here for your districts. In this file, I imported territory, district, and region assignments. So if you click this drop-down menu, you can reassign this territory to a different district, or click the plus button to create a new district assignment. And here at the bottom of the territory properties, you will see a total sum of all the data sets that are assigned to this territory, and also a count of all the account segments that are found in this territory. So go ahead and click OK. And finally, one of the most important things to know how to do here in AlignMix is how to save your file. And you can do that by clicking on the Save button here in the top left, or click on File and then Save or Save As. So make sure to always save your files when you've made a lot of changes, just in case anything happens to your power supply or something causes your computer to crash. So always save. And there you have it. You've just learned how to navigate the AlignMix software.